All right, welcome to another episode of Politics and Movies. And today we got Mike and friends. We always got Mike and friends, but today our friend is Billy.
Hello.
And it's Billy.
It's me.
and the movie we're talking about is a horror movie. You know, well, Halloween's coming up, so we got to talk about some horror. And this movie is the Substance. And yeah,
It's not my cue to start talking about it.
No, I mean it could have been, but it clearly wasn't. So you know, sometimes it happens that way. It's like, okay, I guess I'll just say the name of the movie. That's fine. But take it away. Tell us what the movie's about.
Yes, yeah, this is 2024, The Substance. It is about Elizabeth Sparkle, played by Demi Moore. She's an Academy Award winning actress, and she has her own TV aerobics show. She knows she's getting shit canned, and she is just having kind of a breakdown where she gets into a car accident and she learns about this thing called the substance. And so she looks into the substance, she takes it, and she gets 7 days with this beautiful body, who is played by Margaret Qualley, and she gets 7 days with her old body, that she's not a huge fan of, and her new body, who she goes by as Sue. She goes to Dennis Quaid's character. I don't know who that is, and he was the one who I don't know what his name was. I mean,
Yeah, he's sort of depicted as like a big shot, like a TV producer kind of personality.
his name is Harvey.
Is it?
Yeah, Harvey.
Is it really? Oh my god, that's great.
I love that. It's so...
Oh, this movie is. I'm just gonna say right off the bat, this movie is a great like social satire.
Yes, yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, one of the reviews. When I was thinking of looking at reviews, like for our last episode, I kind of was thinking of this movie in particular because Letterboxd people really did not understand satire. Unfortunately, some of them don't. Like, there's plenty of people who really love this movie because it's such a good, gripping satire. But after Elizabeth becomes Sue, obviously with the like kind of sci-fi premise of this, things are going to spiral. Elizabeth does not adhere to the 7 days rule of 7 days being Elizabeth, 7 days being Sue, and just naturally things start to get worse as Sue starts to grip more of Elizabeth's time, and that starts to drastically affect Elizabeth. And then eventually Elizabeth tries to terminate Sue, but she can't, which ultimately backfires on her because after she pumps the activator into Sue, after she pumps the termination fluid into Sue, she stops midway through, and Sue becomes what she was always destined to be, which is her own entity. And then, from there, everything goes to shit. Immediately after that, the movie becomes a crazy spiral into this wild
body horror, basically.
So many crazy events happen after that. there's a lot of ways to interpret this movie, honestly. And do you want me to just kick off with my interpretations?
Absolutely. Go ahead. Yeah. You can. Yeah. I'll just add like something brief, like just a few quick descriptors. This movie is like a great cautionary tale. It's a great like psychological horror, and obviously also body horror. It's like, oh my god, it's like Cronenberg and Society wrapped together
Yeah.
in a great, glorious package.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this movie.
And of
I
course, I
would.
mean '89 Film Society, not like Society.
Yes, yeah. I know exactly what you mean though. The
Yeah.
body horror in this is so good, and it's paced very well. I like that we really don't get to some of the grosser stuff until much later when it's like worked its way up to it. This is just such a good treat, honestly, of a horror movie, especially because I don't feel like we've gotten a lot of stuff like this. We've gotten a lot of unique and original horror movies recently, but this does feel like its own originality, especially because it feels so fresh, because it feels familiar to me. Like you said, there's so many 80s vibes in this, like 80s practical effects, 80s body horror, that I loved it. It was so unique to see in the modern cinema. But kind of getting to also like part of those 80s vibes was how many times that there was like homages to different things, like there are so many homages here that I loved. One of which was a very obvious homage, the shining carpet, in that one hallway in particular while she's at the studio. It kind of cuts to this very long hallway multiple times that she has to walk through. I mean, at first, it's just a regular hallway that you see. It is a little ominous, but near the end, or at the end, you get that like large blood splatter, that flood of blood, just like The Shining, and it's all just spewing from her monster body. Um, and speaking of the monster body, Eliza Sue, that scene of the New Year's Eve show and the blood just spewing from her, it's just like taken straight out of Carrie, and it just keeps going. Like all the blood just starts pouring out of her, and I could only just think of Carrie. Like this movie loves 80s stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I really like that too. And yeah, I think Carrie is technically 70s, but still, I think the point stands. I think yeah, it's definitely a nice homage to like late 70s, early 80s horror. Well, like most all the 80s, really, all the 80s. Take them all.
Isn't this might be a reach too, but isn't there like a what was that Stephen King book that got adapted into a movie about the gypsy thing? Was that it was The Thinning?
Yeah, that one's not very good, but yeah, like yeah, it's kind of like that. I would say my reading of this movie in terms of like that what like a quick sum up of like a pitch. It's like uh it's like Girl Boss, the Nutty Professor meets The Fly.
Yeah. That's so funny because I met with Charles today, and I was describing this movie to him, and he was like, "Oh, it's like backwards Nutty Professor." I was like, "Oh, I guess you're right." What a movie!
but, yeah, I really got the Nutty Professor vibes when each of the personalities were like othering each other and being like, "Oh, this is this person," and the whenever they call the hotline, the guy is like, "No, you are the same person. You're the same person." I thought that was great.
I did too. Yeah. And I getting into that just kind of based off of my own interpretation. I do think that this is a very good movie to talk about the physical feeling of substance abuse. After C and
Oh,
I,
absolutely.
yeah. I mean, it's called The Substance, so it's very on the nose, but that's okay. I mean, like it's a satire. Satires love to be on the nose, and still people sometimes don't understand them. But this is definitely about her two different lives with the substance. Hi, C. Um, the one is shared on the substance, where she gets to have this beautiful life and she gets to be this beautiful person. And the second is where she has to kind of go from to a withdrawal period, and she has to deal with with the effects of her other life. She comes back and she has to clean up after that life, and she has to just stay inside, and she doesn't get any of the pluses of the other life, only the negatives. And then Sue comes back into play, and she gets the same thing. She has to clean up the mess from the witch's cauldron after cooking all the French chicken.
Yeah, I thought that all was really well done, and I think you definitely hit the nail on the head with the obvious reading being a drug parallel. That's a good one to talk about. I have a
Yeah.
few further out there readings, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, I will definitely love to hear them. I can't wait to hear how the CIA and third world countries have to deal with this one.
No CIA this time.
uh,
uh,
I I have like I I have a couple of like things to say about like the drug connection, but what I'm kind of curious. What do you feel like was the first kind of instances of when she starts to separate the two, Elizabeth and Sue? Because that's the whole problem of the movie is that they're one.
right.
She separates them.
Yeah, I think it happens like almost immediately. I would say because like I would say there's immediately a sense of like envy of like yeah I feel like up front she's like, okay, so this is me, this other person is still me, but like her body is in perfect shape and mine isn't, and like, oh, I feel like there at no point is there any like introspection or like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this up, I'm fucking this up, aren't I? It goes straight into the oh, this other person is fucking this up for me. Why are they doing this to me? Like it seems like that mindset is from the get go is like lodged in there, locked in. I'd be curious to see if that was your reading or if you thought something different.
Yeah, I think that kind of evolves with her first, because I kind of saw it definitely starts happening immediately. But what I thought was interesting is when I was thinking about the movie and thinking about this question, two things kind of stuck out to me as it's planted early on that this is no longer um, Elizabeth, this is now Sue, And I think one of those things, which is a very interesting writing way of planting the seed, is that, it doesn't cut to her living her life. She has to sew her old body back up. Like she's caring for that old body that she just came out of. And it's almost like she's mothering it. Like that's not something you do for yourself. That's something you do for another person. And immediately she's othering that body by taking care of it. After immediately coming out of it. And then another thing that I couldn't stop thinking of, which I had thought of as kind of a writing flaw at first, was it annoyed me that she, when she's asked about her living there by that other guy across the in the other apartment, she says, "Oh, I'm the new person," and I was just like, "Why wouldn't you just say that you're Elizabeth's daughter?" That's such an easy excuse, but she never says that throughout the whole movie. Nobody ever addresses that Elizabeth is still living there. Like the guy sees someone behind and she doesn't say, "Oh yeah, Elizabeth, Sue's not here, it's Elizabeth." She doesn't want to address that Elizabeth still lives there, because in her mind she already others that Elizabeth isn't there anymore, it's Sue now. So I thought that was another really interesting way to plant the idea of Sue is now just Elizabeth, and Elizabeth is just not part of Sue. It's just, who's living here? Oh, it's Sue. Elizabeth isn't living here. And even creating another room for Elizabeth is part of that othering. Like in the bathroom, if you saw like your old body every day, it'd be kind of like, oh yeah, that's my body, that's me. But she intentionally creates a room for it so it can dwell away from her sight and away from other sites. And even that's a way of othering her body. And that's difficult for Elizabeth too, because in a way that makes it like, that's not me, that's Sue. I don't get that fun. I have to deal with my own shit.
And I think it's also interesting and telling. I think it's very telling that at no point does she really think of like a real backstory for Sue, or like really think it through in any meaningful way. Because like during the when she's interviewed on TV, and she's like, "Oh, I come from Indiana, a small a farm in Indiana." You wouldn't know where it is. You don't. Nobody knows where it is. It's not important.
Yeah, it's funny because I would have thought, for me, if I was going through something like that, I'd just say my own story. I'd make it very similar to how I actually grew up. But she wants to distance herself completely from Elizabeth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really well done. I don't think it's any flaws in the script. I don't think, honestly, as far as I'm concerned, there are no flaws in the script. I gave this film 5 stars on Letterboxd.
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
I
I'm
thought
gonna give it 5 stars too.
yeah, I just thought it was that good.
Yeah,
And I was like, and in a way, it was like a grudging 5 stars, because it was like, I don't know how I feel about this film, and that was how I felt last night when I came away from it. But then I thought about it today, and I was like, no, this is a perfect movie. This is well done in every way. I can't really um, take anything away from this. This is great. Um, and yeah, that's where I'm at.
yeah, I feel the same way. I really, I think about sometimes what you once said about like something GS had said about In Bruges. It being a perfect technical movie, and that kind of being a little bit annoying to him. But that's the reason why I love In Bruges, is everything it sets up, it pays off spectacularly. And same thing here. You know, everything this movie sets up is there's a payoff. You know, I could go through the payoffs right now, like the beginning matching the end, beautiful payoff. The uh her in the beginning of the movie having that kind of torture of not having the lifestyle that she really wants, or not even not having the lifestyle she wants, but she has that conflict in the beginning, and she throws the glass vase at her portrait, and it breaks the eye, and then near the end of the movie, she's still having that conflict. It's just different now, and she throws the eggs at Sue. So it's like the conflict really hasn't changed, but it's such a beautiful way of showing that like she fixed the problem, but it was just such a temporary solution because she's still completely unhappy. You know, that there's always a
Absolutely.
payoff.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good at that. The setups and payoffs, and yeah, and then at the end it just devolves into kind of a mess. But it's all very intentional. It's all very well executed, and I really I think it's great. Um,
Yeah, I I love how the end is just kind of like that self-fulfilling prophecy of, you know, she was always split between from the beginning, like we said, like Elizabeth and Sue were two different people, and now she has to deal with just being this abomination, which I think C and I were the only people who laughed in the theaters when the title card of Monster Elisu came on the screen. It's just to me, it was just such an abrupt, hilarious thing of just like, okay, she's now this monster because she couldn't find the balance in her life. It's kind of like the addiction analogy coming back. You know, she she overdosed way too much on something that was good, and she couldn't respect the balance in her life, and now it's just come back in full 100%. You know, at first people didn't realize that she was addicted. There was just small little things, and people were too stupid to realize. But then she goes on stage to the New Year's Eve show, and the mask literally falls off, you know, the paper mask. And it's funny because it's definitely a satirical way of showing it because people don't realize it's not. People don't realize she's a monster until the paper mask comes off. But it's literally the addiction coming out in full display at that point. And then, you know, she's a monster to everybody.
yeah, and I do wonder how much of that was real and how much of that was actually delusion. And but like to your point, like it's a satire, so it could go either way, and it wouldn't really matter either way. But I think it's an interesting thing to explore. Like, like it seems like even before the mask comes off, people are uneasy. Like, what the fuck is going on? What is this? You know. But then the monster is fully revealed, and people are like, oh fuck, you know.
Yeah.
And then people's reaction is full 100% hammy satire of like, oh, it's a monster, let's kill it, kill the thing. I think that's great. And yeah, it leads on to I think an interesting perspective is to read from that though is that she spends the entire movie othering herself, and then at the end she herself is othered by everyone else.
Yeah, I really like that too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh, sorry. Go on. I've been talking this
No,
whole time, so if you need to
no,
talk,
I will. Don't worry, I will. What were you gonna say?
I I wanted to make sure I said this before I forgot, but something that kind of surprised me um in the movie was what the guy says to her, that the problem is being alone. And I found that very like weird when I first heard it, because I was like thinking to myself, no, isn't the problem that you know, don't get to have your other body, or isn't the problem that don't get to stay beautiful? But I think it's very telling that that's like the crux of the whole issue, is that she's alone, That's the crux, that's the the issue at the beginning of the movie. Like, her want, in writing, you could go over the want and the need of the character. Her want is to be beautiful. That's the body dysmorphia, but her need is like for the social validation. Like, that's the crux of it. And she gets injured, and the doctor the doctor's just like, I can't deal with this. This bitch is crying. What the fuck am I gonna do? Bye. And the nurse, the guy who is also taking the substance, he recognizes that need. Or he recognizes the want, actually, my bad. And he's like, okay, she wants to be beautiful. I've been in that state. Like, she's crying, and he recommends the substance to her, and he's empathetic towards her. And later on, he wants to kind of reconnect with her, because he has recognized his need of, like, I got what I wanted, but I'm still alone. And her egoism and she won't accept that. She's like, this guy is stalking me, and she runs away, and she won't accept that help. And when she tries to reach out to the other guy, to not be alone, she can't get past even leaving the hotel room, because she can't accept what she looks like. So it's just that core issue of not having that validation, and not being able to be with others because of your own body's dysmorphia.
Absolutely, and I think validation is really a core issue in this movie. Like, she's only ever validated superficially, as both Elizabeth and Sue,
Yeah.
and she takes all the wrong lessons from both. And yeah, like you said, she never really pursues a social connection. She never, yeah, like, and when she does, it's like she withdraws, and she's like, oh, this isn't going to work out. This isn't going to be good. Or I like, I'm hideous. I'm a monster. And before she's actually a monster.
Yeah. Yeah, and the connections that she does pursue, she only pursues as Sue, and they're extremely shallow. They're just kind of based in sex.
Yeah, yeah, but like you were saying before, she does try to connect with that one guy that she knew in school, but then she backs out. She gets scared.
Yeah.
And I think it's very interesting. Are you ready to move on to, like, different readings, political readings?
Um,
Or is there anything else you want to say?
I'm just double checking my notes.
Okay, you're good.
Uh, yeah. Oh, I guess this is a good closure for the allegory of substance abuse. But I
Okay.
found some of the injuries that she receives, some of the body horror, actually kind of supporting of that too. Like, with teeth falling out, nails coming off, necrotic limbs. It actually, like, I'm pretty sure that those are things that can actually happen with prolonged substance abuse.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely, especially opioids. But yeah, like most of them, yeah.
it's very interesting that those are like the first injuries, or like the necrotic finger is like the first thing that happens, and then it's the damage to the nails and the damage to the teeth. Like it's very telling. Very subtle though, especially when we're talking about a movie that can be very over the top, but some of its writing is actually subtle.
Sure, sure.
All right, I'm good. That was it.
Okay, I've got one that's pretty far out there. What if the so throughout the movie she's told the rules, right? And she's said, she's told like this is what you should do, and this is how this whole system works, and you should really obey this, or there will be consequences. And she chooses to ignore those consequences and move forward anyway to doing whatever the fuck she wants and extracting as much as she wants and just taking and taking and taking.
I think I know
I'd
where this is
say
going.
I think you know where this is going. What if this is an environmental reading? What if this is an environmental metaphor?
That is a very fun reading of this movie, and I actually know, like, I actually completely support that reading. I wonder if the writer would support that reading too, because it does make a lot of sense. And there's also, like I said a little bit before, there's that egoism that she has too. Like
Yeah,
this is me. This is what I need. You
right.
know, I'm separate from Sue. There, she, but you're both one. You're one
Right.
with the environment.
Yeah, it's one and the same, but you're taking from one at the expense of yourself, really. So yeah, I think that's an interesting reading. Um, I think it's. I just said it. I can't say that I think it's interesting. That's bad. No.
I think it's an interesting reading.
Okay, fair. Do you have any metaphorical readings?
Um, Metaphorical. No, my readings were very like on the nose of like just obviously the substance abuse, but also just of like the shallowness of Hollywood, obviously.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's another one that's it's a fair one, and it's there. It's right there. It's a surface level one, but it's also one that deserves to be explored. I think of like the superficiality of Hollywood, and the extend the lengths you'll go to extend your career, or like just different things like that. And I think it's at the expense of yourself, your psyche, your body, what have you. And I do think that's interesting too.
Yeah, yeah, and it's very interesting because obviously Demi Moore does not look bad at all. She looks fine, and
Yeah,
yet and yet it's a man who tells her she doesn't look good. It's a
right.
man as part of the industry who determines that she loses her job. Not even because their ratings are gone. That's the funny thing about all of it is he doesn't have any factual reason to back up why she's getting fired. It's not, hey, the ratings are down. It's not, hey, you did a bad job. all it is hey, let's get someone beautiful in here. And it's just a very satirical take on the industry of what it means to be an older woman in Hollywood and what it means to just be told by a man what your worth is to society.
And you could argue that the narrative of the movie even like validates that, you know, by saying, oh, like when she switches to Sue, the ratings are through the roof, you know. So it's like, you know, like, yeah, it's a Hollywood problem, but it's also a problem with audiences, with society in general, you know. Like, this is a thing that, you know, like, is rewarded by the system, you know,
Yeah,
this mentality.
where
And yeah, go ahead.
oh, yeah, and there's also just the extent of um you know, with the social aspect of it, they don't understand when the new person gets taken on. It's kind of like Dennis Quaid didn't even want the older person to work with anymore. He really wants kind of a younger person to groom, someone that he can control, someone that, you know, she doesn't even get to say like more than 5 words to Dennis Quaid throughout the whole movie. And I think it's very telling that there's like that one scene where she thinks like she's about to get shit canned because she walks into nobody's there and she enters the room and it's very somber and he's very serious, everyone's serious, and immediately the tone becomes light when he tells her she got the New Year's Eve job. It's just like, you know, she is in his world and she has no control at all.
Right, and it's interesting because I was expecting at some point for her to be like a little bit more savvy because she is Elizabeth, you know, and she's been in the industry for longer. But it seems like she allows herself to fall into that role, kind of, you know, so to speak. And
Yeah, that's a really interesting take. It's kind of like she
yeah,
conforms to it because she's been used to conforming to it, even as Elizabeth. Like, even as Elizabeth, she never talks back to him. The only time she does is like during that dinner scene, she says, he's like, oh, after 50, it stops. And she's like, what stops? And that's the only time she ever talks back to him. And she knows not to talk back to him because he just leaves. She doesn't get anything out of it.
right, right, and that's yeah, that's interesting. I and it does, it shows the it definitely shows the power disparity in that kind of situation. And you know, like, there some movies, you know, would like overplay their hand and be like, you know, like she pushes back and gets the upper hand in some way. But yeah, and that could work, but that would be a different movie, right? This is just this is a full on satire, and it's like, that's not really the vibe they're going for, and that's fine.
Yeah, I like that Dennis Quaid. All the actors here were awesome, but I really
Yeah.
like that Dennis Quaid wasn't too much of a villain. He could have been, but he was definitely like the villain in the background. Um, but the real villain was the internal struggle between Elizabeth and Sue.
Yes, and that's true. That's the heart of the film.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and I don't want to neglect this. I love it when a movie has this like neutral event that's coming and it's like ambiguous, but we know as an audience that it's gonna be a shit show. And that's like the New Year's Eve party for this. Like, we know that's not gonna go well. It's kind of like Carrie's prom. Like, as an audience, we hear about it, we know it's coming up, we know it's not gonna go well. And this movie treats it so well. Like, it pays off as soon as you hear about it. It's like, okay, that's gonna be the last straw, isn't it? And it really was. Everything goes to shit at that party prom.
Yeah, no, it really does, and that really culminates in the real climax of the film. Yeah, so yeah, it's a great movie. A lot of
Do you have
interesting
any
stuff.
other readings?
I really don't. I had that big one, and I thought of a couple other last night, but honestly, I didn't write them down, and I forgot about them. But I don't think they were very good anyway. That's why I didn't write them down.
That's fair. Yeah.
uh,
I do like that her end, her death, is she's smiling on her star. It's kind of
Yeah.
like she's become kind of content with this is finally the way that it's gonna end. Just staring at the
Maybe.
sky.
I think at that point she's just really just like completely consumed by to get Jungian. I think at that point she is just completely consumed by her shadow, and she's just living in pure blissful delusion. And that's my reading anyway. That she has just completely allowed the as the kids would say in the parlance of our times, she's allowed the intrusive thoughts to win.
Yeah, my take was just that she's finally above all the social politics and all the dysmorphia, and she can just finally be at peace in death. And she's looking at the stars, and the stars are just so much simpler than all the internal agony and all the internal body dysmorphia she's gone through the whole movie, and she can forget all of that and kind of just die. And even the perpetual screaming face on the back of her neck can finally just die, and everything just dies.
Yeah, in some ways that's a little less bleak than my reading. So that's fair. uh,
Well, are you ready to wrap up on that less bleak note?
yeah, let's go ahead and wrap up. Yeah, this we're talking about The Substance 2024 just came out. Great movie. Hopefully you've checked it out before listening to this episode because we spoiled the whole damn thing. Don't worry, I'll put spoilers in the description, so hopefully no one listens to it who hasn't seen the movie, or if you do choose to, you know what you're in for with this episode. So yeah, this has been Politics and Movies, another episode, and hope you enjoyed it, and check us out on wherever you find your podcasts. Check out our other podcast, The Music Smoothie. If you want to email us at politicsandmovies@gmail.com. If you want to suggest something, you can suggest it there or in the comment section. Do you. If you want to, give us a suggestion for something to watch next. So, yeah, Billy, it's been nice talking to you.
Hell yeah.
All right.
All right. See ya.
See ya.